Well, thank you, and Your Excellency, Baroness Simons, distinguished guests, and friends. It is a great privilege for me as the CEO and Secretary General of the Arab British Chamber of Commerce to welcome you all to this Iraqi Ambassadorial Roundtable. I would like to thank personally His Excellency Sayyid Mohammed Jafar Mohammed Al-Sadr, the Ambassador of the Republic of Iraq in London, and Dr. Suha Al-Najjar, the Chairwoman of Iraq National Investment Authority. Nobody could be better placed to shed light on investment plans and opportunities in Iraq than our esteemed speakers. I'm delighted that they are able to join us for this morning discussion, which follows on the Iraqi ministerial seminars hosted by the Arab British Chamber of Commerce last October. Ladies and gentlemen, as we work together to beat COVID-19, the global economy resume its normal commercial activities, we can anticipate much closer and deeper collaboration between the Iraq and British private sectors. The ABCC stands ready to assist any company seeking to develop new business with Iraq and thereby contribute toward the revival of strong Iraqi economy. Our role as Chamber is to serve business on both sides, and I'm proud that we are continue to deliver first-class services throughout these difficult times. I know that both Iraq and the UK are determined to strengthen bilateral cooperation going forward, which means that we can look forward with optimized to significant growth in joint business activities. I will be very interested to listen today to the contribution from our distinguished speakers, and I am certain that everyone watching this webinar will derive benefits from this insight that will be shared with us today. Thank you very much. And now we have a slight change of the program. We're going to start with His Excellency, the Ambassador, and then we're going to go to Baroness Simons due to difficulty of communication. Your Excellency, please.
أنا راح
غير الجدول.
أي سعادة السفير إذا تبدأ أنت البارونة حتيجي بعدك.
السادة الحضور الكرام، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. يشرفني ويسعدني إقامة هذه الندوة الافتراضية بالتعاون مع غرفة التجارة العربية البريطانية في المملكة المتحدة. أود أن أرحب بالسيدة سهى النجار رئيس الهيئة الوطنية للاستثمار في العراق، كما ويسعدني حضور ممثلي البعثات الدبلوماسية المعتمدة في المملكة المتحدة، فضلا عن مندوبي الشركات البريطانية. بهذه المناسبة أتقدم بشكر جزيل إلى البارونة سيمون والسيد بندر رضا على تنظيمهم لهذه الندوة. لقد بدأت العلاقات الدبلوماسية العراقية البريطانية بعد انضمام العراق إلى عصبة الأمم المتحدة عام 1932 حصوله على الاستقلال. وقد تميزت تلك العلاقات منذ ذلك الحين بكونها إيجابية وجيدة. ولا يخفى على الجميع مدى حجم هذه العلاقة والتي أثمرت عن قيام الكثير من الاتفاقات والمعاهدات بين العراق وبريطانيا، وكان من ضمنها إقامة المجلس الوزاري التجاري العراقي البريطاني الذي عقد 5 اجتماعات منذ إنشائه بشكل متناوب، وعقد آخر اجتماع في بغداد بتاريخ 27/1/2019، وتم التباحث فيه بشأن آفاق التعاون بين البلدين بما يعزز العلاقات الثنائية في مختلف المجالات، لا سيما الجانب الاقتصادي والتجاري والأمني. وذلك من خلال التركيز على عدة محاور أهمها: 1. تحفيز ودعم القطاع الخاص في مجال التجارة والاقتصاد. 2. الاستقرار الأمني ودور القانون في تحقيق الازدهار في العراق. 3. تذليل العقبات أمام التجارة والمتمثلة بالعقبات الأمنية والعملاتية عن طريق تسهيل منح سمات دخول للشركات والمستثمرين. تجدر الإشارة إلى أن الجانب البريطاني كما هو الجانب العراقي يتطلع إلى زيادة آفاق التعاون بين البلدين في كافة المجالات، لا سيما التجاري والاقتصادي. كان من المؤمل عقد الاجتماع السادس للمجلس الوزاري المشترك في العام المنصرم في لندن، إلا أن ظروف جائحة كورونا أحالت دون ذلك. أود الإشارة هنا إلى أنه من المؤمل إتمام إجراءات اتفاقية التعاون الاقتصادي والتقني التي أبرمت بين العراق وبريطانيا عام 2009، والتي صادق عليها مجلس النواب العراقي عام 2011، ولكنها لم تدخل حيز التنفيذ من قبل الجانب البريطاني، وتبذل البعثة جهودها من أجل المصادقة عليها من قبل البرلمان البريطاني بأسرع وقت ممكن، إذ أن من المتوقع أن تسهم هذه الاتفاقية في تعزيز آفاق التعاون الاقتصادي بين البلدين بشكل كبير، وفي مجالات عدة منها النفط والغاز، تكنولوجيا المعلومات، النقل، الخدمات البلدية، الأمن والدفاع، الرعاية الصحية والتعليم وغيرها. أود أن أذكر الجميع بأن هناك العديد من الشركات البريطانية الكبيرة العاملة في العراق في قطاع النفط والغاز، مثل شركة بريتش بتروليوم وشركة شيل. في الحقيقة أصبحت المصالح العراقية البريطانية المشتركة أكثر أهمية وأكثر إلحاحاً، سيما بعد خروج بريطانيا من الاتحاد الأوروبي، ومن ثم فهي تبحث عن أسواق جديدة لها، ويعتبر السوق العراقي واعداً للمصالح البريطانية من جانب، وحاجته إلى إعادة إعماره وإنعاش الاقتصاد الوطني من جانب آخر. أخيراً، أود أن أشير إلى أن السفارة العراقية تعمل جاهدة على تعزيز العلاقات الاقتصادية وتشجيع الشركات في الساحات البريطانية على الاستثمار في العراق في مختلف القطاعات، وتعمل على تسهيل عمل الشركات، جاهدة على تذليل كافة العقبات التي تحول دون ذلك. أرجو للعلاقات العراقية البريطانية مزيداً من التقدم والازدهار، وشكراً لكم جميعاً.
شكرا سعادة السفير. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. These words, I mean, basically give us the energy to look forward for the bilateral relationship between Iraq and the UK. You've mentioned so many interesting points. I think we'll keep it toward the end for the Q&A to discuss those points and to receive more questions. Again, now we're gonna go to Dr. Suha, Head of National Investment Commission in Iraq. We know there is great opportunities basically to attract new investors to Iraq, Doctor. We would like to hear your words and your voice. So please, if you could start.
Thank you, Mr. Vander, and thank you, Your Excellency. I'm going to start. I'll focus on three areas. The first is our strategy. Second is our approach and the logistics of applying our strategy. And three, why you should, despite everything, that might appear as challenges invest in Iraq. But I'd like to ask a question. Would you prefer I speak in English or Arabic?
I prefer in English because most of our audience, and then for His Excellency, we could translate if you would like to speak in Arabic or English. It's up to you.
Okay, all right, I'll speak in English just to make it easier for everyone, since everyone is an English speaker. Our strategy today is to focus on our strategy evolves around two pillars. The first one is to focus on the non-oil sector. So we're focusing on industries such as industry, agriculture, and services. These sectors that have been marginalized over the past 17 years is what Iraq actually survived on before 2003. We do have a significant industry and a diversified one. We have very fertile land and massive land for agriculture, and services, whether it's banking or tourism. The reason we're focusing on those sectors because of the situation we found ourselves in, which is like almost a pure dependence on oil, and as we all know, this made our economy very vulnerable. So we're diversifying outside of the oil sector, and we have all the basics for this strategy to succeed. Because as you all know, we have the land, we have the raw material, we have the qualified labor. So this is the first pillar. The second pillar is focusing on infrastructure. Infrastructure is vital because over the past 17 years, and rather actually it's over the past 40 years, our infrastructure has been repeatedly attacked. So no, for us to apply the economic diversification strategy, we need to invest heavily in our infrastructure, which are vital to build factories and to irrigate the land. We've been in the government for a short period, but we're starting to see some tangible results. The application, for example, that comes through to the National Investment Commission, they used to focus on let's say quick profit kind of projects, which are basically trading the land. But today we're getting increasing number of applications for factories, heavy industries and food industries. We're starting to become self-sufficient in a number of products in the actual agricultural sector. And we're going to be launching, and we actually almost finished the packaging and the sourcing of the finance for some significant tourism projects. We all know that Iraq is a country with natural beauty and deep history. So in a number of provinces, we're going to be launching some sizable tourism projects. So this is our strategy. Applying the strategy goes hand in hand in the logistics that and the framework of actually implementing strategy or executing those projects in Iraq. I'm not going to talk about the classic problems in Iraq of corruption and routine. These are detrimental problems, of course, but we need to start achieving those the new strategy, implementing it to get over these problems. I get asked many times about investor protection and how do we protect ourselves from corruption, from exploitation, and it's no secret that we do have these problems in Iraq. We do have a reasonable law in Iraq. We do not need to reinvent the wheel. We do not need to rewrite the laws and legislations. We do not need to come up with some clever, creative ideas that do not end up working in Iraq. We do have a legal framework, and we do have an investment law and supporting laws that allow us to implement the investment strategy that we're looking for. And I ask everyone who is interested to invest in Iraq to simply go through our website and pull out the investment law number 13 for 2006 and the amendment to the law, and everything becomes clear on how the investment process works and what are the incentives that we offer investors. So I would like to tell everyone that we do have a reasonable legal framework. We have a law like every other country. Unfortunately, what Iraq has been through over the last 13 years meant that these laws were not implemented effectively. but we have that, and this new government is applying the law, and we're implementing the law, and we'll offer everything that we promised investors in the past. It's all available today. I get asked, it's another issue that I also want to highlight. We do get asked by organizations and by investors on what's available. I think this question is not the right question for people to invest in Iraq. Everything is available in Iraq today. Iraq needs everything. We need infrastructure, and every element of the infrastructure, whether it's services, like whether it's power, water, transportation, hospitals, education, we need everything in Iraq today. And outside the infrastructure, everybody knows what Iraq can offer in terms of the non-oil sectors and the oil sectors. And investors are usually specialized. So for power sectors, for infrastructure investors, for industrial investors, just come and approach us and we will show you in your field what is available. But to ask us what is available to invest in today, we have thousands. Not all of them are readily available because it's and it's important for me to mention this, because I think the approach in the past was just to go through an investment map, which I frankly think is a bit not the most effective way of looking at investments in Iraq. Investors are specialized, and we're happy to go through the relevant opportunities for each investor. And last but not least, why should people invest in Iraq? And we'd like to be honest and open. Iraq is a country with many challenges. The politics is the first challenge. Corruption is a huge challenge. Routine is equally tremendous challenge. But there's one element that Iraq has that overcomes all those challenges, is a market. Iraq is a substantial market. Iraq is a market of 40 million individuals with good income levels compared to many other countries, and with a very strong purchasing power. Most of the countries that worked in Iraq, and I would say all the countries that worked in Iraq through 2014 and 15, focused on exporting to Iraq. This door is, or this window is slowly but surely shutting down, because we've increased the income tariffs. We're applying some strict policies to protect our local products. So now we're asking companies to come and set up shop inside Iraq, and we will facilitate the process for them. And despite the many challenges that appear to everyone, behind those challenges is very lucrative investment opportunities and a very lucrative market. So Iraq needs to be looked at in this way, that yes, there are challenges, there are high degrees of risks, of course, but in return, the returns that companies are achieving in Iraq today are like no other. We looked at the performances of some companies, even in the construction sector, and their net margins are above 70 and 50%. And I don't think anybody can achieve that in Iraq. You just need to be patient, need to understand how to work around the system, and be persistent. And we are here to help. And I think I would stop here and we'll welcome any questions.
Well, Dr. Sahar,
Your Excellency, may I interrupt? Because at last I have been able to get through, even if only by telephone, and I am delighted to have been able to hear, I think, most of what Her Excellency was just saying. And I do apologize that my equipment here let me down, and I was not able to be with you from the beginning of the meeting. But I did want to say that I thought that was an excellent presentation, and thank you very much for what you said. But I'm sorry not to be able to join you properly on a camera, but I am able to hear what you were saying, and was very pleased to hear what you had to say about what is available and what the opportunities are. So thank you for that.
Our pleasure, Baroness.
Thank you so much. We've met before in the past, of course, and it is very good to hear you again.
Indeed.
Well, Baroness, thank you very much for joining us. I think a little bit of technical difficulties set us back, but we're back online. If you could give us a quick welcome and maybe introduction on today's roundtable. His Excellency is attending as well, the ambassador with us.
Well,
So
I'm delighted.
I'll give you a few more minutes.
Be delighted to do so.
Please.
Well, may I welcome everybody. I hope everybody is able to hear me. As you know, we are in the grip of this terrible pandemic, which means that we have been instructed by our government to move around as little as possible, which is all very well when the broadband internet works properly. But we've had storms last night, and I'm afraid it meant that mine was not able to function properly today. But that doesn't in any way detract from the warmth of my welcome, and I'm sure the Secretary General will already have made his welcome to everybody. I'm very, very grateful that we are having this discussion about the opportunities in Iraq. As you know, I've mentioned the pandemic, and it has affected the United Kingdom very badly. But we are working hard. We now have 3 different vaccines to draw on. Now, forget this is the country where penicillin was invented, and our chemists and our experts in the ways in which we can combat these dreadful diseases have been working incredibly hard, and I hope that we will be in a position to make sure that other countries have access to what has already started rolling out as a program in this country to ensure that we can keep our people as safe as possible. I think one of the things that I just wanted to say, apart from that, is that what this pandemic has shown us is how incredibly important education and health issues are. Her Excellency, in her address, mentioned the importance of education, of health, of the infrastructure, power, and water, and all these things are enormously important for us to have international cooperation on. I am a member now of an important panel in the House of Lords, which is trying now to work as hard as we can to anticipate risks to us all internationally. And of course, what we are all determined to do is to ensure that we protect our trade with each other. And trade with Iraq is going to be enormously important in people well-fed, healthy, in jobs. Enormously important as well in increasing international cooperation, because as we say in the Arab British Chamber of Commerce, we have friendship through trade, and that is what is crucial to our relationship all the countries of the Arab Middle East, and of course Iraq is an enormously important component in that reserve which we are planning for the future. We've got the G7 coming up in this country, we hope, in the autumn. We hope we'll be able to have it. And that will be another very important stepping stone. But our relationship with Iraq, it has been very good in the past. We want to rebuild on the way that Her Excellency was saying. Yes, there are challenges. She is right. Of course there are. But there are established markets, and as Her Excellency has made clear, there are laws in place, and that there may be challenges, but that we should face those challenges by encouraging British business people to come to Iraq to see what the opportunities are and to make those all important business links. So I'm sorry that I was late in joining you all. I'm extremely sorry not to be able to see your faces as I speak to you, but I hope that nonetheless what I am saying will be of some value to this seminar, which my wonderful Secretary General has put together. And Banda, thank you for all the wonderful work that you've been doing. I should say to everybody listening, we are so lucky with our Secretary General, the hard work that he has put in and the leadership that he has shown to all his team in the Arab British Chamber of Commerce. He has been a first-rate leader in all the ways that matter of inclusion of our staff in London, but more importantly still, inclusion of all our relationships with our Arab friends right the way across the Arab Middle East. And we will work as hard as we can through this pandemic and as hard as we can thereafter to make sure that those trading relationships are as good as they can possibly be. So I hope that those words of encouragement on my part will have some resonance with my colleagues who are listening in today. And thank you very much for giving me the opportunity, Banda, to say a few words at this stage. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Baroness, for those wording and encouragement. Again, if you could stay with us for a question or two, we'll be very thankful to do so. Excellent, excellent. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go now to the Q&A session, and we're going to start with His Excellency, the Ambassador. سعادة السفير، عندنا سؤال سريع جانا إذا تسمح لي. أنت ذكرت أنه كان في 5 اجتماعات وزارية عراقية بريطانية، والسادس كان المفروض يكون السنة هذه وأجل. في بعض الناس بيسألوا ما هو أسباب التأجيل ومتى سوف ينعقد الاجتماع السادس بالتحديد؟
نعم. طبعا سبب التأجيل هو السبب الذي أجل أغلب الأحداث في عام 2020 اللي هو يعني جائحة الكورونا. نأمل إن شاء الله بعد انتهاء هذا الأمر سريعا أن يتم الاتفاق على موعد جديد إن شاء الله لعقد هذه الاجتماعات الدورية. بالمناسبة كان لها دور كبير هذه الاجتماعات في اطلاع المسؤولين من الجانبين على ما هي فرص التعاون المشترك بين البلدين، وأيضا ما هي المعوقات والمشاكل. وكانت هناك محاولات جادة لتذليل هذه العقبات في سبيل تعميق العلاقة بين البلدين. إن شاء الله نتأمل بعد انتهاء الجائحة أن يعاد عقد هذه الاجتماعات الدورية.
طيب شكرا لكم سعادة السفير. In quick, I'm not going to translate everything, but in quick, His Excellency mentioned that the delay of the 6th ministerial UK-Iraqi meeting was delayed due to the pandemic situation. And Iraq and the UK are in contact, and hopefully once the situation is settled, they're going to go back in negotiation and conduct the 6th important ministerial meeting. Now we're going to go to Dr. Suha. Dr. Suha, a quick question about agriculture. It says, agriculture is a vital part of the Iraqi economy. What steps are being taken to improve farms' productivity, and how can foreign investment assist?
Okay, this question is very specific for the ministry, but at our level, we're coordinating with the Ministry of Agriculture and allocating irrigated land, and of course supplying those with infrastructure. So from our side, we're trying to identify the lands that will be suitable, and we do have actually substantial sizes that are available for investors today to come and set up dairy farms or just purely as agricultural enterprises. So that's from our side. What steps are we taking to encourage investors? Of course, on the investment side, the land, supplying the land with the relevant, with the necessary infrastructure, and of course the other incentives, like the tax import duties and the tax exemption for 10 years, and coordinating with the different government entities to supply the investor, to provide them with the license that will be for a minimum of 25 years. On the wider economic level, we're increasing the tariffs on products where we have a high level of local production. So we're protecting local farmers through import tariffs, like most other countries. We're taking additional steps which are currently being discussed because, as you all know, we've devalued the dinar lately, and this had an impact on the end product, but also on the inputs. I mean, on the face of it, it's supposed to be to make our production more competitive, but the input of a lot of our products is also dollar-based, so they haven't been able to be that competitive. So we're discussing various initiatives, including, a reduced interest rate for agricultural products. These have not been finalized, but it's an implication of the devaluation.
Thank you again. A question for Werner Simons. On particular question, which is,
Secretary General, may I say something on the agriculture point? That although I mentioned, of course, the COVID pandemic, I would like to remind our colleagues that we have now, of course, left the European Union. There may have been many problems with us doing that, and no doubt some of those problems will continue to be sources of difficulty. But one point of real opportunity is that we are now in a position to make bilateral agreements with other countries. And of course, agriculture was one of the main issues we had in our relationship with the EU. And I think one of the main reasons so many people wanted to end that relationship, because we will be much freer to have understandings, to make new trade agreements and create new trade opportunities in agriculture in particular in the future. So I'm grateful for what Her Excellency has just been saying, because it reminds us of those opportunities that will now be open to us as the United Kingdom, which were not there before.
Well, thank you very much, Baroness. That clears basically the opportunity from UK to Iraq, the open market, the new opportunity after Brexit for Iraqis to enter to the UK in specifically agriculture. We'll go to a question to you, Baroness. What specific and concrete step could the UK take to encourage more FDI into Iraq? Can you elaborate on that, please?
Can you say that again? What are the opportunities? Did you say? Can you say it again? Sorry, I didn't quite catch it.
What steps could the UK take to encourage more foreign trade, foreign direct investment into Iraq? So the encouragement from the UK.
Yes, I think, as always, you know, investment at the moment is difficult, as we know, because the markets are volatile. They're moving around a bit because of COVID. Actually, in many ways, I'm quite surprised that the markets are not moving around more than they are at the moment. But I think what is needed is really exactly the very strong point that Her Excellency made when she was speaking about the certainty of the rule of law. When you make investments into whatever the business, whatever the country, you must have enforceable rules about how you are making your investment, what the sorts of returns will be, and that there will not be any difficulties about finding that your investment is suddenly undercut or in any way jeopardized by sudden changes in the country into which you are investing. So I was particularly pleased with what Her Excellency had to say about the rule of law and about the way that trade must be on that basis. And I think the more confidence that can be built into the British business community about investments in Iraq not being safe in the sense that they won't move around. All investments do. Investors take, they take chances on all sorts of things, but they are within a legal structure. And it is the importance of that legal structure and the enforcement around that legal structure which will be crucial to confidence returning to invest in Iraq.
Very clear, very clear. I agree with you indeed. Her Excellency mentioned basically the clear law that Iraqi been placing along the way, protecting investors and to attract them into Iraq. Yes, there's some difficulties, and we appreciate her transparency, saying there is difficulties, but that gives us more encouragement, knowing that Iraq knows that they have difficulties and they are addressing these difficulties as we speak. Yet again, it's an attractive market to get in. The question again to Dr. Soha. You've mentioned so many different fields, Doctor, and you said Iraq is a great opportunity to basically to enter in any field, from infrastructure to other sectors. And the question is, can you elaborate more on the tourism project that you mentioned in the strategy of your department?
Sure. Sure, I will elaborate, but I'm not going to give some certain details because these are going to be published in the papers in a few weeks. So we'll have to maintain an element of confidentiality. But for example, everybody knows Babel and the ruins of Babel. So and Babel also has some natural aspects around it. So we are focusing on a project there to encourage tourism to see the ruins of Babel. This is one project. Of course, the marshes, which we all know are registered with the UNESCO today. So we're looking at a natural hotel to launch. There is one already, but it's a bit it needs updating. So we're working on a project in Nisan project around the Arab marshes. And if I mean, I strongly encourage people to Google the Arab marshes because it's a stunning piece of nature. It really is. We visited it with the Prime Minister, and it's just breathtaking piece of land. We also have a project that combine two provinces, which are the Diwania and Wasit. We have a hor there. A hor is basically a huge lake. We have very rare kind of birds and water creatures in Iraq that our neighbors in the Gulf like to come and hunt for. And this is a very regional thing. It's really not known to the rest of the world. So we're going to have a combined project for the two provinces to make use of that lake and the land around it. So these are some of the projects we're working on. Of course, everybody knows that religious tourism in Iraq. Well, I don't know if everybody knows, but the numbers are shockingly high, pleasantly high, I would say, from our side. So between Najaf and Karbala, I think we can become, as we try to say in Iraq, the Vatican of Najaf. We're trying to the Vatican of the Shia sect. So
I think that obviously, as the chairman of the National Investment Commission in Iraq, Her Excellency obviously has excellent credentials on these assurances, and she was very, very clear in what she said about having a national legal framework for the industrial strategy. I think that when we are able to meet as we would all wish to meet in person, and when we are able to have discussions in the usual way, it is good to have this discussion rather than no discussion at all. But of course, to be able to hear Her Excellency in person, Secretary General, and perhaps have one of our sessions where she might address our British members on the question of having confidence in the logistics, the framework, the new strategy that she was talking about, and the protection that can be offered, and I use her words, from corruption and exploitation. And these are the things that people want to be assured about. So I do hope that when we are all able to meet again and do business again in the way where we can be together and have a proper discussion where people are free to ask questions, and she has been excellent in answering the points that have been put to her. But I do think that there may be an opportunity, let us hope in the not too distant future, for being face to face to discuss some of these issues.
Indeed. Yes, thank you, Baroness. And again, thank you, Dr. Saha. We're going to go back to His Excellency, the Ambassador, for a question. سعادة السفير، عندنا سؤال هنا فيما يخص سفارتكم الموقرة. السؤال: ما هي الخدمات التي تقدمها السفارة العراقية في لندن للتجار أو التاجرات البريطانيين وتشجيعهم للذهاب للعراق؟ قبل لا تجاوب على السؤال إذا تسمح لي، احنا شهادتنا كغرفة عربية بريطانية مجروحة في السفارة العراقية. الخدمات اللي انتم بتقدموها واحنا بنلاحظها من جميع الاخوان في السفارة بلا استثناء جدا جدا مميزة، وتعتبر من افضل الخدمات اللي احنا بنشوفها هنا، سواء من امور لوجستية او تسهيل للتجار والمستثمرين البريطانيين او العراقيين. فاتفضل اذا تسمح تجاوب لنا على السؤال سعادة السفير.
شكرا لشهادتك اللي اعتز بها.
عفوا.
السفارة طبعا واحدة من المهام الأساسية التي تأخذ على عاتقها هي موضوع تنمية الاستثمار وتسهيل استثمار في العراق، ويتم ذلك من خلال عدة محاور، من خلال اللقاء مع الشركات البريطانية، تسهيل اتصال الشركات البريطانية بالمسؤولين في العراق، عقد لقاءات بين أصحاب الشركات وبين المسؤولين عند زيارتهم إلى لندن. والدليل هو الوفد الكبير اللي كان برئاسة دولة رئيس مجلس الوزراء، اللي كان في أي شهر؟ كان في شهر العاشر من العام الماضي، وكان هناك لقاءات كثيرة جدا بين المسؤولين في بغداد وبين مندوبي الشركات المختلفة. طبعا نسعى جهدنا بشكل حثيث على تسهيل إعطاء الفيز وسمات الدخول إلى العراق، وتسهيل وتذليل كافة العقبات التي تحول دون ذلك. نتابع دائما مع هيئة الاستثمار وغيرها من القطاعات الاقتصادية في بغداد موضوع الخارطة الاستثمارية وغيرها من الأمور والموارد التي تتيح للمستثمرين الأجانب الاستثمار في العراق. همنا هو أن نعزز التعاون ونزيد من الاستثمار، وحققنا الشيء الكثير ونطمح للمزيد إن شاء الله.
إن شاء الله. أنا أشكرك سعادة السفير. إذا في أحد من الأخوان يحب يترجم الكلام حرفيا أتفضلوا، أو إذا تبغاني أختصره أنا حاضر.
لا تفضل.
تفضل حسين.
أنت سيتها.
إذا تفضل أنت أستاذ بندر، يعني تختصر إذا.
طيب سعادة السفير إذا تسمح لنا. In short, His Excellency mentioned so many interesting points. How to, what are the services the Iraqi embassy in London are providing to British investors and businessmen and women. But in short, the respectful Prime Minister of Iraq visit in October last year encouraged so many different aspects of businesses between Iraq and the UK. The embassy will provide all necessity to encourage businessmen and women to enter Iraq, from easing the visa process and providing visa to collaborating with the Foreign Direct Investment Commission in Iraq, which head by Dr. Suha, to explain and elaborate on the investment plan and map. Thank you again, Your Excellency. Shukran Sa'at al-Safir. Dr. Suha, we have a question for you from the Scottish Iraqi Association. In short, they were saying companies from Scotland wanted to invest in Iraq. They've been trying to get in touch with the National Investment Commission office, and they have no answer. Is there any mechanism that you want them to reach, and what are you going to do about that? Please.
I do apologize if anybody experienced problems in contacting us. We do get this complaint, but you know, maybe it's just like, you know, internet issues, or maybe we're overwhelmed with the amount of inquiries we have. But the most effective way is really to go through the Iraqi embassy. This method always works, because as you've seen, we have very efficient staff at the embassy. We cooperate with them and with all our embassies around the world. And any company that needs to get in touch with us, the quickest and most guaranteed way is to go through of course, our embassy in London. This will be guaranteed, but also their embassies. We have, for example, cooperate with the British embassies through the British embassy here in Iraq, so through the embassies, if they're struggling. And I do apologize that this is happening.
Well, thank you again. That takes us to a question from our side. Is there a one-stop shop that you recommend us to basically promote in behalf of the National Investment Commission, other than the embassy and the chamber? It could be an online website or an app.
We haven't progressed to the level of having an app yet, but we have either info@nici.gov.iq, or you can write to the chairman at nici.gov.iq. So you can send your inquiries there. I just want to clarify the issue of the one-stop shop, because one-stop shop is actually it's the most crucial department within NIC, because it's the department that receives the investment application. It's not a one-stop shop that answers inquiries, but it actually does receive the application from the investor and coordinate with the various entities to get the permits, the required permits for any project, and then issues the investment license. So that's the one-stop shop in our definition.
Okay. Well, thank you again, Dr. Suha.
Mr. Bender, I just have a very small comment, if you allow me to elaborate on His Excellency's answer to the last question. And in regard to the Scottish Iraqi Association, we're more than happy if they get into contact with the Iraqi embassy, and specifically the economics section desk at the embassy. Then we're more than willing to facilitate any of their issues, queries, questions, and a pathway to an investment into Iraq in collaboration with the National Investment Commission. And the last note that Excellency mentioned, that the embassy also strives hard to facilitate direct contact with the Iraqi counterparts in different ministries, obviously depending on which route of investment they wish to take. So this is also an important point for the attendees and the British companies, that we're more than happy to facilitate any form of communication, direct communication with the Iraqi government. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for this clarification. And I would like to add that definitely the Embassy of Iraq in the UK are extremely active, and the commercial section or economic section is there to serve. So please, I encourage all of you, go meet them, speak to them. They will enlighten you. They will open the doors for any investors to enter into Iraq. Yet again, our chamber is working hand to hand with the embassy, and we could do and facilitate as well if you would like to come and visit us. Again, Dr. Suha, thank you very much for clarifying all the contact information. And I know there's so many different opportunities in Iraq that we cannot address today. But please, we would like to take the honor to encourage people to get in touch with us or the embassy or directly with you to discuss certain specific sectors if they want to. سعادة السفير، أنا أشكرك على حضورك اليوم ورسالتك لنا. هذه تشجيع من العراق لبريطانيا والمستثمر البريطاني للحضور للعراق وسهولة التواصل مع العراق
May I have one last point?
ورسالة إلى العراق الجديد إن شاء الله. Baroness Simon, please, if you could close the session,
I just wanted
we're happy to do so.
At the point that to our friends in Iraq, we have got new opportunities now because we are not bound by our European Union rules anymore, having left the European Union. And trade was one of the reasons that we were not able to make, I mean, I speak as a former trade minister, and it was very frustrating at times when we wanted to have a trade understandings or agreements with different countries. And of course, we were not able to do so because we were part of a much bigger bargaining unit, the European Union, which often disagreed with the sorts of things that the United Kingdom would have liked to have had agreements on. So we are, in many ways, we are going through, as I said before, and it's obvious, very difficult times because of this dreadful pandemic. But I trust that we will get through this. It will be tragic for many people, but we will come through this, and we will have the opportunities to talk more freely about the trading relationships that this country can make without reference to our colleagues in Europe. Much as we want to keep on good terms with them, we will not be bound by their rules. And that is a very important new freedom that we will have.
Well, again, thank you, Baroness. And if you could do the closing remarks at this session, it's time to close the session. Again, thanks. Baroness, are you still with us?
Are you closing the session?
Yeah, we are ending the session. Would you like to add any wording into it, or should I just end it?
Vanda, thank you very much for organizing the session. Thank you to everybody for joining in. And personally, may I thank you all for being so kind about my not having been right at the very beginning and having a struggle with my technology. But I am delighted to have been able to join insofar as I was able, and I thank that His Excellency the Ambassador, and of course the wonderful Her Excellency Dr. Shuha, the Chairman of the National Commission, National Investment Commission in Iraq. Thank them very much indeed for what they have had to say about encouraging our trading relationships. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. This session is ending now, and thanks for attending. Goodbye.
شكرا للجميع.
Thank you. Thank you. Goodbye.